of the project, sorry, since 2013. And Skills Commons was funded under a almost $2 billion initiative from the Department of Labor back in, 12 years ago now. So without any further ado, if I may, Rick, I'm just going to pass it right over to you. And not seeing Jerry quite yet, but when he does step in, we will welcome him. And thank you to everybody who's been there. Please feel free to put any questions that you have into the chat. We will make sure they get answered either within the conversation today, or we will reach out to you directly. And if you have not already, please put your name, your organization, and the role that you play in that organization into the chat as well for our records. Okay, Rick, it's all about you.
Thank you, Maria. And thanks, everyone. It's great to be here with you all today. I'm a native Ohioan myself, from Lorain County. I was born in Elyria and raised out in Oberlin, Wellington area. So, old stomping grounds, I'll actually be up in Ohio visiting my parents this summer. My mom's going to be turning 80. So, we're going to take a family trip up there with the kids and grandkids and spend some time up there with her. So, and my dad. So we're looking forward to that and getting out of some of this hot weather in Texas. We're actually supposed to be 100 degrees today, if you can believe it. So here we go. Summer's here. So I'm really excited, though, to be able to share with you all today about open educational resources and just hear our agenda, just what we're going to look at and look over. What is OER, reusing OER, and then creating OER. And so we'll have some examples of those different things and different types of things. And I also want to say at the beginning here, my style of doing these types of presentations is pretty much conversational and laid back. So, like, if you have a question, Maria's going to watch the chat, or if you just want to pipe in, that's fine too, whatever you're comfortable with. So we can just get those addressed. If you need to slow down, you can say that, or you want to go back and look at something, let's, take some more time here or there. So I'm just here to do what is most helpful for you folks. So if something strikes a nerve, just don't hesitate to pipe up. Okay. It's just the need for OER, really, cost to barriers to student learning. Our executive director, Jerry Hanley, pulled a lot of these out of the Cal State system since he's, worked in that system for over 30 years. And some of the statistics here, and I'm sure Ohio probably is somewhat similar when it comes to textbooks and cost of materials and things like that for students. And it's probably the first thing they're not going to buy if they, they're limited on discretionary funds. So hence the need for OER. And then just, your goals on your campus, students, how can they get, help with doing this? And OER is a way to lower costs for students, for their costs for supplies and other things, as well as can cut costs for campuses. And so as we look at an affordable learning solutions, an ALS solution, to help your students to reduce cost, to support faculty adopting OER. And this is a lot of what we're going to do today. I know this is maybe a first brush for people. And so there's maybe some new things that you might hear today and like, well, I've never heard of this stuff. What is going on? And, just take it in a little bit at a time. Like I've been at this for oh my, almost 15 years now in OER, and I'm still learning new things from folks and all that. So so if this is your first, toe dip into this OER area, welcome, and we're here to help you come along just like the rest of us. We're a community, and so Skills Commons and Merlot have been built on this principle of helping schools and students lower the cost of their educational programs. And as Maria had mentioned, Skills Commons had been underwritten by the Department of Labor, and so we have tons and tons of materials in there in workforce development. As Maria said, it's the largest workforce development repository in the world. So we've got things in manufacturing. Over 50% of the funding of that $2 billion was distributed to manufacturing. So we've got lots of great stuff in there around manufacturing. We've got healthcare is the second biggest area, and then IT and some other areas around education developmental education, a lot of developmental educational materials, developmental math, reading. I don't think anybody needs to create those courses anymore. There's so many things there. So if you need help in that area, we can help you get, launched on that stuff really with shovel ready stuff pretty quickly. Also, benefits of OER, reducing production time and cost and financial costs, where maybe 70% of the item is ready for you on Skills Commons, and you just need to tweak a few things. Maybe you want to add an exercise to an outline or to some class notes or to a lecture, to a PowerPoint presentation, and then you can customize it, add your name, your school's logo, and all that sort of thing on it. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to dive into what is OER and why are they important. And so what we did is we took all the things that we have around OER and kind of pulled from other places like OER Commons and things like that, and the OER group. I mean the uh, Creative Commons group. They've got a lot of great resources as well. And so what we actually did is we developed a course within the SoftChalk Cloud platform. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's completely open. And so you don't have to have an account to look at what I'm showing you on the screen right now. That is completely free and open, and we will provide a link to that as well. It's in the presentation of the PowerPoint, but Maria or I will put it in the chat as we go along. But this is a great resource because it's actually developed a course and the different phases of what OER is around licensing, around public domain. What can you use out of public domain? And then, attributing, if you're reusing somebody's, how do you do attribution to that? And then some things around OER use and reuse you see on the side panel. But we're going to dive into that a little bit more. But here is what are open educational resources, and we have a complete definition for you there. It's documents, openly licensed that anybody can use for teaching and learning in distance education in traditional and non-traditional formats. Okay, and so there's a lot more around here on what OER is and what you would be interested in it for. This is just a great resource on this in this lesson that we've developed. I'm going to hold off right there. Are there any questions at this point or any thoughts or comments? Is this making sense? Is it good? So far, so good? Or any comments or questions that anybody might have?
Nothing in the chat yet, Rick, but feel free to add everyone to the chat if you have questions, and we will make sure to get those answered.
Okay, great. All right, keep going here. So now we talk about licensing OER, and that's a scary topic for a lot of people, I know. How do we do it? Where do we get it? Well, we've got this course, and in here we have a whole section around licenses and open licenses. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the share on the PowerPoint, and I'm going to share my screen to the SoftChalk Cloud lesson here. Let me see. I think I have it open. Give me a second. Yeah. Okay.
So while Rick is pulling that up, just a little note to say that we have done a lot of work in Ohio around open educational resources, working with OTN and Lorain County Community College. Lots of strong content has been developed and added to Skills Commons through the projects, the workforce advanced manufacturing projects there at Lorain and throughout the OTN. So kudos to those folks today.
So here we have a whole section around licensing and what the different licenses mean, copyright and open license. Around a copyright reserved, I don't allow anyone to use it. Under an open license, same thing. It's still yours. It's people will have to attribute you. You still have a license for it, but you are allowing other people to use it. That's what an open license has. A copyright license reserved, you're not allowing it. Okay. And then just remember to make proper attribution if you're reusing someone else's. And we'll talk about that as well. We actually have an attribution builder within this course. So it's real. This right here is really like your one-stop shop for OER. And then here's the whole section from Creative Commons around their licensing and the different types of licenses that you have with Creative Commons. The first one is the most open license attribution. This is just, I made it, you can do with it what you want, but you have to give credit. And then there's a license here with you can copy it, but I don't want you to make derivatives of it. Okay. Here's another one where you can share and share alike. So however the original owner shared it, they want you to share it the same way, but you can use it and distribute your work, but share alike. There's also a license that you can put on that non-commercial, so that if you created an OER, and you didn't want people to make money off, you could put that on it. So you could put like the attribution and non-commercial on it. And that way people will be able to create, use it for profit if they wanted to. Having said all this, just so you know, the Department of Labor and everything within Skills Commons, they used this license, the most open and free license. So this license means that if a textbook company or a learning management system or educational system wanted to come in, they could come in and take content from Skills Commons, package it, format it, and sell it if they wanted to for profit. So that's just so you know, that's what you can do with that content. Again, they would have to give attribution, but you can freely reuse anything within Skills Commons based on the license that is in, that the Department of Labor required for the grant. So I just wanted to are there any questions around that, around this whole licensing and how you can use and reuse Creative Commons licensed material?
So Rick, does it cost anything to create a license? And can you change it up if something happens in the future?
Yeah, that's a great question. And yes, you can change it up. Um, but if you've put an original license and somebody else has already used it, and that license was on it and they used that, they would be bound by the license that you had on it when they reused it. Does that make sense? Right?
It does
Yeah.
make sense.
Now, and
Yep.
if you changed it and then somebody reused that change, then they would have to abide by that license
Thank
and
you.
attribution. Okay. And
And it's
so
cost free to
yeah, it
create
doesn't
license.
cost anything to put the license on it. And I'll show you, we actually have an attribution creator in here. But I just wanted to let you see this. I'm not going through and explaining each of these little boxes, but once you have some time and if you're interested in this area, I'm just showing you this here so you can come here and see the definitions of all these different licenses that Creative Commons has, and then you can kind of look through that and see. There's also some examples of different licenses and how they were applied in this, and so we get to this page here, around public domain and how I can use, copyrighted material or not. How do I determine if something's in public domain? So this is just a great, again, a
Mm.
resource that we pulled together of things that are out there just to make it easier for folks that we work with and OER, because we realize most people, this is our wheelhouse, not yours. So a lot of people have got a grant to do OER, and this is their first, attempt at it, or second or third. But even still, that takes time. So that's why we put this together for you, looking at the different licenses, what this means, and all that stuff. So, okay. Any comments or questions so far? We have the whole place of where to find OER. Obviously, Skills Commons, Merlot, but there are a lot of other places you can look at in on the web. But within Merlot, you have the Smart Search. It searches over 70 other online libraries, over 92,000 resources. I think there's over 100,000 now in Merlot. But this is awesome right here, this Smart Search, because it's kind of a one-stop shop for all of the OER that's out there, or affordable learning solution type material. You can use that Smart Search. There's also virtual labs and Skills Commons, Merlot X for students, and all these apps, and then of course the affordable learning solutions that we've talked about. And then there's also some open educational practices and e-portfolios you can look at, and how other people are using OER, course redesign with technology, affordable learning solutions, career and tech ed. We've got all this stuff within Skills Commons and Merlot for you to see. We have a one-stop shop in Skills Commons for OER with links to all these different sites on the web, how you can find Creative Commons licensed images and attribute those, as well as videos, finding CC license, Creative Commons licensed materials and Skills Commons, all these things here to help you find OER. And once you found the OER, or you've created an OER on your own, well, how do you put the license on it? Does it cost anything? Like Maria said, what's the process? Well, you can create your own license. You can go to the Creative Commons license Creative Commons website and get their verbiage and do all that. But what happened was during the TAC program, the Gates Foundation, I believe it was the Gates Foundation, underwrote the University of Washington to create this attribution builder for licensing. And as you see on the right side here, it has all of the CC BY license, all the Creative Commons license, I should say, and the CC BY license is there. But you can enter the title of the material that you're reusing. If there's a URL, say it's a YouTube or it's hosted somewhere on some site, if you want to put the author's name in there, and then an organization, like all this is kind of up to you if you want to add extra information in there, just as, kind of like really think of this as like a citation as well of your work. And then you see down here, it'll take all of that information that you type in this area and it'll create you a license right here. And you can copy the license from here and paste it on your Word document, your video, your PowerPoint presentation, your Excel, whatever you've done. But this is a great resource to create licenses. It's totally free. It's on our website as well as it's on within this learning management system course on SoftTalk Cloud that all of you can access. Okay. Any questions or comments at this point? Or is everybody clear? Or thumbs up? Are you kind of in a fog? Is this a lot of information and not really sure? Do we need to review anything? Is it going okay?
So far, so good, Rick.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yep. Okay, so what about reusing OER? How do you reuse OER? What is reuse? Well, we have found within our work with different grant projects, obviously we worked with over 256 projects in TACT, but we've also worked with a number of projects after TACT or during TACT with other institutions and organizations. And so um, we've noticed that people are using and reusing OER. Some just use it as is. For example, there was a project, there was a round one, and the tech program was distributed over 4 years. Okay, the funding. And so a round one project created this out of Wisconsin, a MOOC on how to use basic computer skills. And by the fourth round, 4 years later, a school in Toledo contacted us and said, we need some basic computer skills. Like people were looking for, like we have some veterans coming back and like older people trying to get back into school. People that haven't been in school for a while want to get back in, moms and stuff like that. And and then just some older folks too, just wanting to learn how to use a computer, right? They go into a community college to learn how to use a computer. And they said, well, what's your email address? And they don't have one. They said, well, I went to the post office and they couldn't give me one. And so that's where some people are. And so this computer course basically was a godsend for the folks in Toledo because they're like, this is exactly what we need. It's basic stuff and it's open and they didn't have to adapt or do anything to it. It's hosted at the Wisconsin Online repository, somewhere similar to like Merlot has. And so it's hosted there. And so they could just take that, Northwest State Community College in Toledo could take that course and let folks use it. And so that was something that they didn't adapt or change or do anything with. Wisconsin also developed some iPad simulations in healthcare, which are really fascinating. And again, this be something that's like a package, like it's ready to go right out of the box. You don't have to do anything to it. You could if you wanted to, but like these things are really top notch and ready to go. There's also a mechatronics technology certificate program. These are just some examples of things you can use just like they are, shovel ready to go as is. Okay. And if you wanted to adapt them, you could, but these are things that people are reusing as is, just like they are. Okay. So that's one form. Another form is to revise and reuse it. And so we had a group, again, this Northwest State Community College, was like, oh, that worked really great on the basic community, the basic computer course. We need some stuff around our administrative stuff. Like we're doing all this administration and round one grants were doing that as well. And a lot of this has been the similar same stuff. And so they were able to use some stuff from Missouri this time out of Jefferson Community College and adapted it and put their logo on it and then changed it up and created it. Basically it was 95% done. They just updated it with their personal, a few things that made it um, for Northwest State. And then you can see some monitoring tools. Here's just some other examples. These are just examples of how people are reusing, revising, and reusing. Okay. So we have reuse as is, and then revise and reuse, just kind of minor changes, and then a makeover. And there's our executive director, Jerry Hanley. He has a video on this and talking about it. And so we've created a number of different makeovers. And so these examples are here, how to develop an interactive, safe, self-paced lesson, adding interactivity to a Word document, things like that. Even a PDF that was something that was taken care of as well. So we have the before and the after. So you actually can go and see how people revised and reused content makeovers, how they added interactivity. So we have even added some audio as well for text to speech for people um, with hearing disabilities and things like that. So there's all these kinds of tools out there that are available. But this was really impressive here because these were all Word documents, and we were able to change those up and put those into one of our tech guys was able to put this into again soft chalk cloud course and created interactivity with it. So it's really awesome. So here's one. This was actually done out of Maria's project. They had a newsletter for their project and just a PDF, simple. It was fine as is. But here's just an example of how they added some interactivity with it and things like that. So just to give you ideas on what you can do, and then packaging and delivery makeovers. So, for example, if you wanted to put something into a publication, like you found all this great text on here, Introduction to Digital Logic, and so one of our team members was able to put together a book, an e-publication off of a Word document of notes and things like that that he found, and these were really good materials and resources. And again, we talk about where these are put in Adobe Digital Editions, how you can make an EPUB and look in Firefox and all these different uh, web browsers and things like that to help. So if you wanted to, we also have another example of converting a Word and PowerPoints to an Apple iBook. And so just giving you different ideas, allow to leverage your managed system. And if you wanted to do a similar makeover, we've got help on how to do that as well on our site. But again, getting back to why OER matters and what's the point, it's really helping students, saving costs for students, as well as saving time and production costs for faculty. If there's things out there that we can already use, um, like I said, there's developmental math, developmental reading, these kind of courses that are out there that everybody needs at every school. Like those are things you can shovel ready use, and we've already showed you some examples there. But I wanted to show you as well. We have links to different repositories that are out there where you can find other courses that are open, that are in the open OER field and class. So those are available for you and to provide those things for you. And then we talk about challenges, and this is the one we get a lot is around quality assurance, but you can make things as good as you want. I mean, I don't think public quality needs to suffer in OER, and sometimes it gets a bad rap in that. But I hope the examples that we've been able to show you dispel that rumor or myth. I'm sure there are, just like there are in regular uh, public, non-OER materials aren't sometimes as lack quality as well. So I don't think that's a problem with just because it's OER. The sustainability of OER is always a challenge. Coming back and updating that expiration date. Things like math and reading are probably pretty static for a long time, but when you get into IT and things like that, that expiration date comes pretty quick. So that is an issue for some disciplines within OER. But the OER community again can address those issues, or the grants be able to create updated versions. And then again, this issue here, which we're all on different learning curves, just a lack of a public understanding about OER. But it's very exciting to see what's done in Ohio. We've had stuff in Idaho and other parts of the country that it is catching on, and folks are really seeing the value of OER. Um, we've got other things that we've been able to build with OER. Been able to build these teaching and learning online websites that you can build as well. They're free and customizable. Digital equity resource website, how to close the digital equity gap within your community. This is a project that we've been working on for a number of years, and trying to get resources to people, that they can use, like a basic computer course. If they've never learned, they get a computer donated to them in the digital equity gap, but they don't know how to create an email or get on the web and those basic things, right? So that's where we can come in alongside the digital gap and provide the software and some training on how to on that in that area. So I hope that helps. Again, here's just more links to videos, to images, educational resources around. Um, and then just some examples here. I thought this was helpful. You're all in education. It's great to know there's a community. This is Bernie Goski. She worked at Lorain County Community College. She retired several years ago. I don't know if you ever remember her, but she was part of the TAC program at Lorain County, and Ohio TechNet. And so we highlighted what they did and showcased. So these are just some neat stories that you can hear, real life stories of people within TAC that did things. And so, anyways, we provide those there as just maybe some encouragement and some inspiration as well, to you to help with that, with your endeavors in OER, and know that others have been down the same path as you. So I'm going to stop share on that and go back to the presentation. So I know we've gone through a lot here. Any questions, comments? So OER, we like to call it the 5 Rs, that anyone can freely reuse, right? We showed the reuse as is. You can revise and reuse. You can also retain it. You can put a license on it that you don't want anybody else to use, or you can put a license on and allow anybody to use it as free as you want. And then redistribute. So maybe upload it back into a repository like Skills Commons or Ohio Link. We all talked about creating authoring tools, but I'm going to show you this here. So where others can remix and then upload it to Ohio Link, Skills Commons, or Merlot, right? And then other people can go back in and start the five R's again. They can reuse, revise, retain, redistribute, and remix, and then republish it again into another repository. Okay, so the next section I want to talk about was creating OER, but I want to see, that was a big section there on licensing and all that. Is there any comments, questions? No, we're probably feeling like you're drinking out of a fire hose right now. We're throwing a lot at you, but the good thing is you'll have this course. You'll be able to go back and take your time and then work on the areas that you feel like you need. So that's a great tool available. Okay. If there's not any questions, I'll just talk about creating OER and the different, ways that platforms that you can use. Obviously, most people have MS Office, Google Apps, Google Docs, Google Presentation, all that good stuff. Merlot Content Builder is free to use. You can create content within Merlot. I showed you Soft Chalk Cloud. I don't have it on here, but that's another opportunity. PDFs. I think you guys are using something in. I'm trying to remember. It's an authoring tool, Rick. Is that right? Within the Ohio system that they're creating OER on for Ohio Link, they have a platform. So you see, there's a lot of different ways to do it. And so really, what we're looking at is what do you have, and what can you make with what you have, as far as so. But Merlot is the Merlot Content Builder is free for you to use. All you have to do is have an account within Merlot to build a learning object within Skills Commons. I mean, within Merlot. Okay. And so creating an OER derivative, here is just some examples that we had, like we showed you the makeover area, and we have a whole page on this on our website as well on Skills Commons. We've got some basic algebra course that was redone and was put into a learning management system where we're actually able to add interactivity with it. Instead of just a number of files, we're actually able to create a derivative. And we have a Moodle instance of Skills Commons, which a lot of our makeovers are housed in. And if you go to their item page, like here, you'll see that it'll have a link right in here, additional public access to materials, and you click that hyperlink, and it'll take you right to that OER source where you can view it. So a lot of times why we did that is because you got to download these gigantic files, right? They're in a learning management system like a Blackboard or Canvas, and it's 350 megabytes, right? And then where do I find it? Because I don't have the Blackboard or Canvas instance on my computer at home. So how do you view that? And you have to open up individual files and start looking at it. So one of the things that we try to do is create these we call them previews of OER that were in Skills Commons. And so we used a learning management system, the Moodle instance. It's an open, we just have an admin account basically, but it's available for us to make it so where you can just preview it before you download it. Basically, kind of look at it like you're in a boutique, you're looking at clothes or you're looking at some furniture, whatever. You want to look at it before you buy it, right? And try it on and see how this thing works. So that's what these are within the Skills Commons Moodle instance. And then, like I showed you before, we have some stuff within the SoftChalk Cloud platform as well, like a basic college skills course that we redid. Again, it was an LMS export with files and stuff like that, and we're able to put it within SoftChalk Cloud and show you how to do that and license it. Okay. We talked about adding it. Once you've done all that, upload it to a repository where others can then take it and reuse it. So this resources is a resource for you. We're going to put that in the chat window here in a second, and it'll be available to you. Maria, I think, had a good question for us as we were putting this presentation together, and felt like this would be something, particularly for Ohio Link, around property right, intellectual property, IP. So you own the copyright and you determine the license, right? So Creative Commons has many options for you, but it's as far as the IP of it goes, it is yours. They have to attribute you in the licensing. So when you reuse other OERs, look for information, right? No information. Assume the owner has the copyright and all rights reserved license. That's the way you should go if you don't see any information about licensing on a material. But you could apply fair use license, and that we discussed that in that course on that SoftChalk Cloud thing course. And then obviously look for the Creative Commons branding that will provide you some rights to reuse. And again, look at the license and then see what the limitations and or if it's super wide open, you can do whatever you want with it. Okay.
Thanks, Rick.
Yeah.
Can we turn it over to Jerry for just a minute?
Yeah.
Jerry Handley is here with us. He's the executive director for Skills Commons in Merlot. And Jerry, do you want to talk for just a minute about intellectual property and how how authorship rights are protected?
Sure, and that's on the slide. The Whenever you create something, you own the right to determine who can copy it, who can reuse it, right? So the intellectual property always remains with the person who creates it. And because you own it, then you have the right to determine who else can use it. So that's what copyright means is ownership, and you determine the licensing that can be applied here. So, you know, and I think there's not, it's not much more complicated than that. Just know when you create something, you own it, and then you can decide who else can use it. When you're using other people's materials, that's when you have to look at the issue of what license has the owner put on it. And now, and I would say one of the things I want to emphasize here, don't get caught up in all the licensing issues, right? The more difficult issues when you're thinking about OER is, first of all, understanding what your purpose is, whether it's you as an individual or your institution. Why would you move to these open education resources if you don't have a clear purpose, such as reducing the cost of educational content because your students can't afford it and consequently they don't have access to the material? Having that both personal and an institutional priority then will motivate people to look for open education resources. Why would I want to change, my work that I'm doing and how I approach it? That changing requires an important driver. So that's something that you really have to think about, and understanding your students' needs is a really critical issue. So once you have that, then it comes down to, how do I find it, right? Is there material related to what I need to use in my courses? And that's where Skills Commons as a library, just think of it as a library that you have on your campus, except it has instructional materials rather than research and scholarship materials. So all the library search skills that you know and have been using are the same ones that would apply, just you're looking for instructional materials. And that's, once you find what you want, then the licensing becomes an important issue. But if you don't get to finding what you want, then it doesn't matter, the licensing issues. So Maria, I hope that was helpful. And Rick, I think um, uh, the the key for finding the material, it's really simple. In Skills Commons, you can just put in keywords and it'll give you a list of things. And you can also filter if you want welding, and then you might say, oh, I'm looking for presentations, or I might be looking for a whole course, or I might be looking for something that fits into an associate's degree. So there are all these ways that Skills Commons provide you easy ways to find materials that meet your needs, because that's what really matters, how it meets your needs as an instructor and how it meets the needs of the students.
Thank you, Jerry. And just one more point, too. Institutions, many institutions, and many of your institutions hold the right to the content that you develop while you're under contract with them. And licenses can be listed by institution with the author's name attached. So though there are lots of different ways in which licensing can provide avenues to share out content and still maintain the original rights to the work. Okay, Rick, thank you for letting us interrupt you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, you bet. And again, just next steps for ALS, learning about OER. What we've done today is the first step. Creating a campus-based ALS program is, what's out there, requires more than just, is a little bit. This is champions on your campus and things like that. I think Jerry can talk more to that. It's just as far as his experience and time that he's spent in OER and on campuses. Um, but Merlot and Skills Commons can provide you templates, tools, and strategies to plan and implement your customized ALS program. Again, as Jerry said, we could help you tailor this to what you need for your institution, for you personally, whatever. If it's just a matter of, helping you find things in Skills Commons, you went there and you looked for something, you didn't get anything, shoot me an email and say, hey, Rick, I tried something and I couldn't find anything. Do you think you could find something? Because this is where I go. I know where all the boxes are in the basement, right? So I can find you the good stuff if we have it. If we don't, I'll probably know that we don't have something. So when it comes to finding stuff in Skills Commons that you might be interested in to reuse, don't hesitate to shoot me an email. That's why I'm here to support, you guys' success in all this.
Yeah. And Rick, just to uh, emphasize here, we joke around. If you need help finding stuff, it's 1-800 Rick Lemadou. All right. Seriously, just email him, and because Rick has supported um, so many people in cataloging the material, so he knows, as he says, where the boxes are in the basement. Now, one of the things I want to emphasize here is affordable learning solutions, reducing the cost of educational content with the adoption of OER is not a one-person um, job, right? On a campus, building a collaboration between many of the people who help support faculty finding and using material is an important to develop. And that's what the Affordable Learning Solutions program is around. How do you begin to engage your bookstore? How do you engage your librarian, your librarians? How do you identify and work with your deans who might provide some support for faculty adopting and reducing the cost of educational content? How do you look at your institutional research office who says, where are the courses where students are failing the course or where they might have really high cost of educational content? So you as a campus coordinator can play a really critical role in coordinating all the people on the campus who can work collaboratively together to help significantly reduce the cost of educational content. And just how much can you save? And the first example I'm going to give you is the work I've done at the California State University system, where we have 450,000 students. So it's huge in 23 campuses. But this past year, we saved over $150 million by having faculty shift to open education resources, use existing library materials, choose low cost educational content from publishers. And on an individual campus, um, CSU Dominguez Hills recently saved over 6 million, and they have about, I think it's like 11,000 students on that campus. So you can make a significant um, reduction in the cost of educational content for the students, and then the students then begin to persist in your institution because cost is one of the key drivers for our students not persisting.
That's exactly right, Jerry. And when one of our projects asked the students within the population what were they doing with the savings, they said things like, "I am staying in school. I am buying gas, buying groceries, daycare, so that I can be in school." So it's all kind of coming back around. Those savings end up re-benefiting you again.
And this is one of the services in our menu of services. Um, there's a line, people, because I worked at the system level, people would think all the Cal State campuses were the same and we can control it from the chancellor's office. And I'd say, well, if you've been to one Cal State campus, you've been to one Cal State campus. And I think the same thing applies for higher education. Every institution has unique qualities, from the personnel to the programs. So really to help you, if you're interested in creating an affordable learning solution strategy within your campus, having individual consultation, you can contact us. I'm happy to get on a call to help you think through how what might work within your campus with the resources that you have, with the personnel that you have, and the timeline that you'd like to implement.
Thank you, Jerry. I'm putting that menu of services into the chat right now, and we encourage schools within this project, please reach out to us and we can provide you with additional support services customized to meet the needs on your campus. I'd also like to share one quick reminder about updating and maintaining the updates on the At a Glance CoLab document, and I will put the link in an email to everyone that is responsible to that information here after today's event. So here come the menu of services in your chat. And let's open it up for questions. Rick Woodfield has been such an important guide for us in this work with the Ohio schools. And Rick, do you have anything you would like to add? Anything else you want us to make sure
Well,
we discuss?
I really appreciate your team's efforts throughout this project, and this is certainly helpful for folks who may not know a lot of ways to jump into the OER arena. So I think this is an excellent resource listing as well. So I'm really thrilled. And to everybody who joined us today, and there were a lot of faculty and chief academics and Department of Higher Education folks on this call today. I really appreciate you joining in. This work is more important than ever, and it's well tied to the advanced manufacturing workforce crisis that we're all working through. So thanks everybody for being a part of this today.
Thank you, Rick. We appreciate you as always. Jerry, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
I'll just say, uh, in all educational innovations, just start with your friends and start small to build proof that change can make a difference. And affordable learning solutions, right? You don't have to restructure your whole course. Sometimes you just get started by trying and adding a little bit in, and it builds confidence. It builds your understanding of the difference that you can make with your students. And I just want to focus on that for a second. In California, 43% of our students are food insecure. 11% were homeless part of the year. So when you're looking at the cost of educational content for your students, it really does, as Maria said earlier, and this is some of our work in Idaho, where students would use that money to sustain themselves. So so it does make a difference. And if you just start a little bit over time, you can make a big difference collectively.
Thank you, Jerry. Are there any questions? All right, then we're gonna call it a day, but we are looking to our campus coordinators to please reach out. We're here to help you. We can customize and meet the needs of small groups, large groups. We are very flexible and agile regarding time and the delivery of services. So please do not hesitate to ask for additional assistance around this project in advanced manufacturing or OER in general, universal design for learning with our CAST friends, and connections between K-12, higher ed, and the employer. So that entire continuum is something that we have spent a lot of time working on and supporting across the US. All right. So without further ado, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. And Rick, thank you to you today for sharing your expertise and your knowledge. You always do such beautiful work for us. We appreciate you so much. All right, everybody. Have a
Bye-bye,
great
everybody.
day.
You're welcome. I'm here
Thank
if you
you.
need me.
Thanks, Rick.